From a distance, the world looks blue and green, and the snow-capped mountains are white. From a distance, the ocean meets the stream, and an eagle takes to flight. From a distance, there is harmony, and it echoes throughout the land. It's the voice of hope. It's the voice of peace. It's the voice of every man. From a distance, we all have enough, and no one is in need. There are no bombs, no guns, no diseases, no hungry mouths to feed. From a distance, we are instruments marching in a common band, playing songs of hope, playing songs of peace, playing songs of every man. God is watching us. God is watching us. God is watching us from a distance. And God is watching us. Sweet God is watching us. God is watching us from a distance. From a distance, you look like my friend, even though we are at war. From a distance, gotta tell you, I can't quite comprehend what all this fighting's for. Distance, there is harmony, and it echoes through the land. It's the hopes of hope, and it's the loves of love. It's the heart of every man. And it is the hope of hope. It is the love of love. It is the heart of every woman and man. God is watching us. God is watching us. God is watching us from a distance. God is watching us. God is watching from a distance.
Please join me in prayer. We come together this day to learn about, in the name of wholeness, enriching the world. I give thanks for every soul that has walked into this sacred facility, everyone within the sound of my voice, for our musician, for our sound team, for our practitioners, for our many members, for the divine souls that have come through our doors for the first time. All are here to make this a greater expression of the divine and to enrich this world. I give thanks for people that are celebrating the one and only life there is that permeates all creation, whether that celebration takes place in a mosque, a cathedral, a chapel, in the forest, or it takes place in the living room. It is all God, it is all good. I look forward to hearing the words that Spirit will bring forth through our Reverend Jenn for the nourishment of our minds and souls and emotions, and the knowledge that all that each of us need to hear will be uttered and will be spoken. I give thanks for every magnificent soul, every unique expression of the divine that is within the sound of my voice. And I know that this good is anchored in the divine mind. It is already done. I let this go. I let it be. Together we affirm. And so it is. Our first words of inspiration come from the brilliant author we call Unknown. You cannot always have happiness, but you can always give happiness. From Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Give what you have to someone else. It might be better than you dare think. From our founder, the Honorable Dr. Ernest Holmes. To know God is to love, for without love, there is no knowledge of God. As the Christ awakens, the divine spark shot from central fires of the universal flame is able to warm other souls by the radiance of its own self-unfoldment. We give only what we have. The only shadow we can cast is of ourselves. This shadow lengthens as we realize the great presence in which we live, move, and have our being.
So let's begin the talk, the message today, by just taking a little time to reflect on that song. That song has a great, incredible meaning, and I think we miss it. We get stuck on the word distance. And that's not the important context of the song. The context of the song is that when we can step back and see the God view of what is going on in life, there is peace, there is harmony, there is joy in every man and woman. Thank you for adding that piece. And we fail to see that sometimes. We get caught up in the little nitpicky things that we're looking at, the things that are just right here in front of us, and we fail to step into the God view and step back for a moment and see, what is it like? I love the part in the song where it talks about from a distance, you look like my friend. What happens when we get up close and personal? We get into a little bit of judgment, and we get into a little bit of all kinds of scrutiny and stuff. And so let's take time this week, because this week we are looking at enriching the world with our presence, enriching the world with our actions, with our love, with all of the things we are and all of the things that we bring to the table. And that can only happen when we do that through the view of the powerful divine being that created each and every one of us. And how beautiful and incredible is that? So it's not about God out there somewhere. It's not about God watching us like everybody says Santa Claus is. It's not about that. We are talking about what can we see and what do we have to do with our perspective to grasp the idea of a world that works for everyone. Each one of us is a part of this holy place called earth. We are stewards of God. We are charged with the world's enrichment. We have a purpose. That purpose may be something that you are doing within your own home and your own family. It could be something that you are bringing to the workplace. It could be something that you're bringing to your spiritual community or the greater community of where you live. Or it could be a contribution that is on a grander scale. We have a purpose, and we are the ones who can reach out, touch, speak, hold that space for the rest of the world to understand how we can all live together in harmony. I have a quote here from Kristen Lohr. Growth is uncomfortable because you've never been here before. You've never been this version of you. So give yourself a little grace and breathe through it. What happens to us when we start to change something in our life? When we want to make things better? We run into a little obstacle, we stumble over a rock, something happens, and all of a sudden we're hyperventilating, and we want to back it up. I thought about that once. I thought, what would happen if I decided that all of this that I believe right now was just not true? Could I go back and grab some other idea, some other reality for me? What would that be like? And I couldn't even come up with a single solitary idea of how that could happen. We've come too far. Once we embrace life and we start to make these changes, you don't get to go back. You've improved your life. Why would you want to? Why would we want to? So that's a good thing to be thinking about as we move into this week. The other thing that came up for me as I was looking at this is that I think a lot of us have some resistance around the idea of being charged by God, of being called, of having a divine purpose. And we want to go, no. No, you got me confused with somebody else. That's not mine to do. And I want to talk about that for just a minute, because those ideas of we are charged, we are called, sometimes they make us feel really uncomfortable. Sometimes we don't think we're worthy of what could be happening. Thank God for discomfort, because it is only in that place of being uncomfortable that we can truly grow, that we can truly enhance our lives and embrace the truth of who we are and make ourselves and our own physical world better for us. And thus we are contributing to that idea of enriching the world. Max Lucado gives us this beautiful quote about grace. Grace is the voice that calls us to change and then gives us the power to pull it off. I think we lose sight of that sometimes. We fail to see that. And what I want us to understand is that grace is a virtue of God. It can mean a pleasant way of moving forward. It can mean a thoughtful way of behaving in that place of awareness, acknowledging who we are and where we are. In the spiritual world, grace can mean the unmerited favor of spirit or God towards the human spirit. And this is where we've heard this idea a lot, is that the grace of God. Oh, but for the grace of God go I. And it's a beautiful idea, but yet I think we stumble through it again. We get a little confused. We're not quite sure what that means to us. Because we think that we have to go out and seek favor of God. And I'm here to tell you, we already have it. We are already God's favored beings. Each one of us is created to demonstrate the greatness of the power and the presence of Spirit through us in this beautiful place called Earth, that some days is more challenging than it is beautiful. And that's just a part of how it works. So what I think is really good, especially right now, this time of year, it's the perfect time, is to really recognize that we are the embodiment of pure love. We are the children of God, and we're held in love and light all the time. No matter what you do, no matter what you say, no matter how you behave, God loves each and every one of us. We live in that beautiful realm of love and light. Now, some people go to that place of, oh my gosh, well, that's great because then I can do no wrong. And yeah, you can. I've tested that numerous times for everyone's benefit. And yes, you can. We can screw it up, if you want to use that terminology. We can make a mistake. We can say the wrong thing and it's taken the wrong way. Yes. But at no point in time does God ever go, oh my gosh, I'm done with that one. I'm done. What are they doing? No, that's not what's happening. All of that judgment and that awareness of right and wrong and did I do it right or did I do it good enough, and that type of conversation, that's part of our human experience. It's part of how we have chosen to look at it. And then when we make ourselves wrong, then we think we're going to be punished. Well, the only one that's going to punish us is ourselves, because then we create a few little extra obstacles and a few more challenges that we have to go through because we've kind of tripped ourselves up a little bit. But Spirit doesn't walk away. Spirit doesn't shut down. Spirit doesn't leave us alone. Spirit isn't out there at a distance, detached. Spirit is right here with each and every one of us. So I want us to remember this probably as a primary point for today, is that God does not withhold its love from any one of us. There is never a time when we are separated from the divine. Spirit is always here at any moment in time, regardless of what the circumstances are. We can drop into prayer and know we are fully supported all the time. One of my favorite authors, Ralph Waldo Emerson, gives us this quote today. We see the world piece by piece, as the sun, the moon, the animal, the tree, but the whole of which these are shining parts is the soul. The whole of these shining parts is the soul. From within or from behind, a light shines through us upon things and makes us aware that we are nothing, but the light is all. Now, don't misunderstand that. Nobody just discounted or discredited any one of us. We're the light. We're the light, the presence coming forth. It is in each and every one of us to do with as we choose. That's the key piece here. So we want to remember that we each have that light within us. We have that divine essence that we can bring to the world. And if we are truly enriching the world with our actions, our mindsets, our conversations, then we are doing this with this awareness that we have this ability to bring the divine to the world. We can hold ourselves and the world in the light of peace, prosperity, perfect right action, and wholeness. We can share the love intelligence with the collective consciousness we call humankind. And we can find good work to do in the world. And we discover by doing this that we have a part in all of humanity. It doesn't serve us or the world to stay home, hide in the quiet, hide in the dark, and pretend that we have no ability to make a difference. Because the truth is, every single one of us has a talent, has a skill, has an ability, even if it's simply expressing love, to have that impact, that positive impact on those around us and the world. So this week I encourage you to take each day and see the world from a distance. And see what is going on in the world from the perspective of spirit. And what does that mean to you? And what can you do? What can each one of us do to step into that place of enrichment? And as we strive to cultivate that sense of wholeness within ourselves, as Denise so graciously spoke about last week, that it starts here. I have to go within. I have to turn within and see what's going on here. And then as I enrich myself, as I move forward, and as I get a grip on all that I am and all that I can be, then I am supporting the greater good, the planet, and all of it. So I also encourage us each to remember this week, just to remind ourselves over and over again, I'm not separate. I'm not out here all by myself floundering, trying to figure it out. I am connected. I am united. I am in that presence of God, and God is within me. The words I speak are the words of God. The things I express is the expression of a spirit. We are here in human form to be that expression of God coming through us into this reality, into this energy and this beauty around us. That feels kind of huge, doesn't it? To know that we have such a significant part to play. And it's so challenging sometimes to listen to the grumblings of the world with people who don't believe that, who don't get it, who don't understand it. And some of that is based on all of those wonderful voices and messages that we were given at a time in life that aren't necessarily true. Some of those mindsets come from that place of fear. What if I step out and become a minister and I'm not the right person? Trust me, I've had that conversation with myself, not recently, but years ago. When I was looking at stepping into this role, was this really for me? Was this really what I needed to be doing? People are going to laugh. I have to tell you, I had so many, my last name is Wilde. I had so many wild experiences in my life, so many things that I created that I actually believed when I announced to a lot of my coworkers at the time and people in my life that I was going to ministerial school, I was going to become a minister. I was just waiting for that one person to come up to me and go, "What are you thinking? You? Are you kidding me?" And I never got that. All I have gotten, even now today, is reinforcement from the people who know me of what I am capable of doing. I just didn't see it for myself. So perhaps, if you're one of those people that can't see it for yourself, you need to ask a few people that you know love you. Ask a few people that are the closest to you, that have that faith in you. What do you think of me in this situation? And if you don't get the answer you're looking for, ask somebody else. There's millions of us out there. It's what I'm hearing. Our Centers for Spiritual Living support a global vision. And I want to share a portion of that global vision today. It reads like this. We envision all people, all beings, and all life as expressions of God. We see a world in which every person lives in alignment with his or her highest spiritual principle, emphasizing unity with God and connection with each other. A world in which individually and collectively we are called to a higher state of consciousness and action. We envision a world that works for everyone. We're not there yet, but if we continue with the vision, if we continue with that inner knowing of what can be and how it can be, we can get there. We will get there. We are already there in the mind of God. You heard it in the song earlier. That's what Spirit sees. And then we stop and ask the question, well, then what's all this stuff going on? Well, some healing needs to take place. Some education, maybe. Offering a different perspective. Maybe that's part of what we need to be doing. So in order to cultivate this, Ernest Holmes tells us that we must be of pure mind. And I didn't like that terminology because pure mind tells me that maybe I've never done anything wrong, I've never made a mistake. But that's not what it's saying. It's like in this moment, can I have the clarity and the purity of mind to see it, to know it, to believe it? That's what we're looking for. That's what we're talking about. So we want to be clear about our inherent wholeness and how that works and how that shows up. And as we heal the false notions and the misconceptions about ourselves, then again, we begin to contribute at a greater context to the planet. Sounds kind of simple, doesn't it? As I was putting this talk together this week, I'm thinking, okay, well, yeah, these are really great words. These are good words. It sounds so amazing. And then you get in to do the work, and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm not even quite sure how to go about this. Well, we have a lot of people to support us in this situation. Our practitioners can help us to see the truth of who we are. Our ministers, obviously, our classes, our workshops, the rituals that we bring forth. These are opportunities for us to experience something that reminds us of who we are. And the more you remind yourself, and the more you remind yourself, and the more you remind yourself, oh my goodness, what starts to happen? We start to believe it. We get into that knowing mindset that says, I know who I am. I know what I'm capable of. And I get to do the work. And that's how we lift the energy and the vibration of the planet. I don't know about you, but I have discovered that ego is a big part of the breakdown, if you will, in this process. Because when ego is trying to keep us safe, it has a really good purpose to keep us safe. When ego is trying to keep us safe, ego's saying, don't do that. No, don't do that. That's a risk. What are you doing? You can't do that. And so we want to move away from that and not ignore the ego, but master it and learn that I can tune into compassion. Because for me, compassion and ego are almost at opposite ends of the spectrum. It is impossible for me to be ruled by ego and also be compassionate. However, when I live from that place of compassion, I don't have to be concerned about what ego is trying to tell me to do. It helps me to master that whole idea. I have a little story for you. There was a young man by the name of Mark. And he was in junior high school. He left school one day and was walking home. And he noticed a young man about his age ahead of him on the pathway home. And the young man had either fallen or tripped and had dropped a large load of books. I mean, it was almost surprising that this kid had been carrying this many books. And he's on the ground and he's trying to collect his books and he's trying to put them all together. And he also had 2 sweaters, a baseball bat, a glove, a small tape recorder. Goodness. Well, what Mark did is he walked over and he knelt by the boy and he helped him pick up the items. And since they were going in the same direction, he offered to help him carry all of this stuff. They didn't ask him why he was carrying it. He didn't get into any kind of stories. He just kind of started joining in with conversation and, here's where we're going and here's what we're doing type of thing. Well, the boys became really good friends, and they discovered in their interaction, not only that day, but following, that they loved video games, and they had a lot of things in common. They enjoyed baseball. They enjoyed history. Now, the boy's name was Bill. And he was struggling in school. In fact, he was struggling horrifically in school. However, Mark agreed to be a support to him as much as he could be, and they just became best buddies. All through junior high, they started having lunch together, spending time together, walking to and from school together, and eventually they graduated from junior high, and they both went on to high school, and of course, based on the proximity of where they lived, they went to the same high school. 3 weeks before the 2 boys graduated from high school, Bill asked Mark if they could have a conversation. And Mark said, sure. And Bill said, do you remember the day that we met when I dropped all that stuff on the ground and you stopped to help me pick all of that up? And Mark said, yeah, I remember. And Bill said, you never asked me what was going on, why I had such a horrendous stack of books I was trying to carry home. But I want to tell you, on that particular day, I had given up. I had gone to school, and at the end of the day, I cleaned out my locker. I cleaned out my locker because I didn't want to leave anything behind for anyone else to have to clean up after me. You see, I was giving up on life. I was going home. And I was going to end my life. There was no hope for me. I couldn't master school. I had no friends. I had nothing. And then I dropped everything, and you showed up. And you taught me that I wasn't at the end of my rope as I thought I was, that it wasn't as bad as I thought it was, and that I actually had someone I could lean on that would help carry me through, that would support me. And you've done an amazing job. You've been an incredible friend all these years. He said, Mark, I'm trying to tell you, you did so much more for me than just pick up those books. And I wanted you to know that. And I wanted you to know that today. What an incredible story to know that this young teenage boy made such a difference in another young man's life. You see, compassion is a character trait that is within each and every one of us. It is a muscle in the body, in the being, that has to be built. And the more we show compassion, the more we demonstrate compassion, the stronger that muscle gets. And the stronger that muscle gets, the more quiet that judgment stuff and that ego stuff is. So this week, in order for us to really uplift the planet, in order for us to be that contributor to the good of the world and the greater good of the world, it's going to require compassion. It's going to require us to not stand and tell someone what all they did wrong, but to understand that I don't know where you're coming from. I might not know what's been going on in your life. I might not have any idea about what's transpiring for you, but I can still support you and love you through it, to demonstrate that compassion. Compassion says, I'm with you. Compassion says, I'm here to help you. Compassion says, cast your burden on me and I will lift you up. So this week we get to take some time, each and every one of us, and look at what are we doing What are we doing in the world? Sometimes it's as simple as lending a hand. Sometimes it's as simple as showing up. Last evening, I had the opportunity to attend an event in Colorado Springs. An organization called UCPPE. I'm not going to tell you what all those letters stand for, but you can Google them, ucppe.org. This organization is one of the largest LGBTQAI organizations in the state of Colorado. They've been in place for 40 years. They get together, they raise money, they perform, they sing, they dance, they play, they have a great time, and then they take that and they go out and support other organizations in the Colorado Springs area. They've been doing it for 40 years. 40 years. My daughter-in-law and I went, and oh my goodness, to watch these beautiful, incredible divas with their gorgeous makeup and their incredible hairdos get up and perform, and watch how money just started flowing across the room, and I'm thinking, this is the most fun and exciting fundraiser I have ever been a part of. It was just incredible. These people are making a difference on the planet. And it's not just specific to the LGBTQAI community, so don't misunderstand me. They are supporting a lot of organizations and a good number of people. And they're doing it with joy and grace and song. It's amazing. It's incredible. And I was so thrilled to be a part of it because my small contribution was also contributing to the greater good. My friends, there are so many groups out there, so many people who are hurting, especially this time of year, because we've instilled in everyone that you're supposed to be with somebody right now. You're supposed to be connected to a whole bunch of people. You're supposed to be sitting down for a big dinner in a couple of days and all these other things that we've kind of instilled, and it's like, that's not the truth. And if it is the truth, then let's start inviting them in for dinner. Bring them along to join us and be a part of the process. Every single one of us has the ability to make a difference in the lives of others. Eric Butterworth said, "You and God are inextricably linked in a mission of co-creation. Even as a wave is the ocean is expressing as a wave, let's just start that again. Even as a wave is the ocean expressing as a wave, so you are the allness of God expressing in you." I love the analogy of bringing forth the concept of water because every drop of water in the ocean is part of the bigger ocean. It's all a part of it. If you go over to the beach and you reach down into the ocean and you take a cup and you bring some of the water out of the ocean, what you have in that cup is the exact same molecules and makeup as the greater ocean is. That's how we are in this world, in this universe in which we live. We are a part of all of it, and all of it is a part of us. And the only thing that can separate any one of us from it is for us to decide in our brain that that's what's happening and we step away. Let's don't do that anymore. Let's go with that whole mindset of we're all part of one. All of us are part of one. And before I close, I want to offer a quote from our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes. "What the world needs is spiritual conviction, followed by spiritual experience. I would rather see a student of science prove its principle than have him repeat all the words of wisdom that have ever been uttered." I mentioned earlier that our practitioners take a lot of training. And in our philosophy, you must be a practitioner before you can enter into ministerial school, so then there's a whole bunch more training, education. A lot of study. Sometimes we run into people who speak all the right words. They use the jargon, if you want to call it that. They sound like they're talking about something I should understand, but I'm not quite understanding it. And part of it is they haven't adopted it. They haven't moved into that place of being that experience, allowing it to be a part of me. And that's the thing we get to work on. Maybe it's as simple as that. To just know that even though I've said the words, what do they mean to me, and how am I going to allow that to show up in my life? How am I going to allow that to be a part of who I am and how I show up in the world? This is our path, each and every one of us, to take the teaching, decide what works for me, each one of us individually, and prove its principle, and then enrich the world to understand the truth of their wholeness, of its wholeness. This week, I absolutely know each and every one of us will have numerous opportunities to do this very thing. Because once we open that little space in the universe and we speak the truth, it just starts showing up everywhere, doesn't it? I love that. We can enrich the world in the truth of our wholeness. I encourage you all to embrace this idea, to embrace the truth of you, who you are. And if you're struggling or having a challenge with that, reach out and get support from someone, a practitioner, a friend, a family member, whatever it takes. No one of us must walk this path alone. Please join me in prayer. I know right here and right now that there is a power. I call it God, Spirit, universal wisdom. It is all-seeing, all-knowing, and everywhere present. And knowing that, I know that its power is greater beyond anything I have ever been able to manage or comprehend. And each one of us has the opportunity and the right to tap into this power, to allow it to work through us and to show up in our lives in many, many creative and incredible ways. And knowing this, I know that each and every one of us is part of the greater good. No one of us is left out. No one of us is alone. And so today, we embrace this idea. We take it with us throughout the week. We do whatever is necessary to bring forth that enlightenment within ourselves and that awareness and that truth, and to also tap that into the world by tapping into the energy of those around us. Let us be expressions of love, beauty, love, light, compassion, as we walk the talk and we do the work that we were set here to do. I know life is good and blessed. And right here and right now, I bless all people everywhere. And those of us who have food, may we find ways to share that food with those who don't. And those of us who have shelter, may we find ways to support those who need shelter, who are seeking shelter. And may each and every one of us this week just live in that space of pure love, allowing everyone around us to feel that incredible connection, that unbelievable love. I know it's all good. I know it is all God. And I know all of these words are already alive in the mind of God. And so it is with great, great gratitude that we release this prayer, knowing that Spirit already hears it. It knows what's on our hearts before we even speak it. And we allow it to be, and we just dance in the gratitude of all that we are and all that we have and all that we are becoming. I call it perfect. I call it good. I call it God. And we let it go and we let it be, as together we say, and so it is.
Light up the world, light up the world, like the sun lights up the sky. With your can soar and you can fly. Shine your light for everyone to see. Light up the world, it's there for you and me. All you gotta do is feel that spark inside. Fan the flames, let that blaze ignite. Light up the world with kindness and with grace. Share that light, come on. Share it with the whole human race. Light up the world, it's there for all of us to see. A world that works for everyone, you and me. Light it up the world with love. Light up the world with joy. Light up the world with peace. Light up the world with kindness and with grace. Share that light, share it with the whole human race. Light up the world, you'll be amazed at what you see. Oh, a world that works for everyone, you and me. Light up the world with love. Light up the world with joy. Light up the world with peace. Light up the world.
Hello, I'm Reverend Jenn Wilde, Senior Minister for New Dawn Center for Spiritual Living. New Dawn Center is a global community, and we welcome all people, all paths, all ways of thinking, all philosophies. So know that you are welcome here, and thank you for joining our online community.